Welcome back to the Stockwell Eldritch Show. I'm Jason Stockwell, doing a little Footloose.
And
I
I'm
said,
Dawn
take me back to
Eldridge.
the 80s. I love this
Yeah.
song, Footloose.
We're going to have a little dance party. The disco ball is going to drop down. It'll be fun.
I like it.
All on YouTube.
You guys would be great. You and Stephanie would be great. It'd be awesome.
Well, Courtney
love
might
to
be
dance.
great, too.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just thinking how fortunate all the three blondes or whatever. We should have kicked you out of that chair, Jason.
Yeah, right.
I had the three blondes show right here. The three blondes and a brunette.
Courtney,
we're talking with Courtney with Excelsior Group, if you missed the first segment.
And I was looking at the back of your card, and I love what it says. It says, taking care of your future today, live your life in peace.
Yeah.
That is really, really awesome.
Oh, thank you. My the guy who drafted my cards came up with that, Doug Nelson of Easy Envelopes, and I just loved that slogan because it really encapsulated in what I want my practice to be about and how I really want to help people feel more peaceful and feel more in control of a situation that ultimately is out of our control.
Speaking of more peaceful, on the break you talked about TODDs.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
What is that?
Very exciting. This is very exciting.
We got excited
In the
because we thought
estate
you were
planning.
talking about a guy, about a single attorney named Todd. And I was like, ooh, tell me more. And then I found out it was an acronym for something. But still interesting.
Right. It's an acronym for what's called a transfer on death deed. And this is a Minnesota statute that allows you to record a deed with your county recorder's office to a real estate that says that upon my death, I would like my real estate transferred automatically to, the person you name as the beneficiary under the TODD. And it's a great estate planning tool that not a lot of people are aware of, and it helps you avoid the probate process. And I actually had a client situation, without giving away too many details, who I had a client whose father had passed away, and he was the only heir. My client was the only heir. His father was unmarried at the time of his death. And the estate, unfortunately, had to go through probate because his father didn't have a will or any sort of estate plan. And so we had to open this probate proceeding. The filing fee alone is $330 around there. And you've got to publish notice of the proceeding pursuant to statute, which is another couple hundred. And then the legal fees. I mean, you've got to go to court. I've got to draft a bunch of documents. We have to appear in front of a judge. The witness has to go up and testify and give testimony. I mean, it's just a stressful situation for people who are already grieving. And, all could have been avoided if there had been a TODD in place. So, it's
So
a
that's
good
a
tool.
TODD. So I have a question about the probate process. We do a
Yeah.
lot with conservators, guardians.
Absolutely.
I'm actually going to buy a house in Richfield later this afternoon because the brother called and said his father died. There's 4 siblings. They're not in agreement or something like that. It's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So probate, the purpose of probate, if you think about it, that's the state saying, hey, nothing was pre-planned. There was no estate plan. There was no pre-planning on this. No one did anything in advance. So we need to make 100% sure that whoever you are as an heir is valid, right? Or that you are truly entitled to this. Otherwise, it goes to the state. Is that what's going on with probate? I'm always curious why they can't just say, well, clearly, here's the son, in your example, there it just goes to him, right? I mean,
So, and there's just one caveat. So even if you have a will in Minnesota, your estate will still go through probate. The only way you can avoid probate is by having a trust, a revocable trust, and then funding that revocable trust. And you probably know a lot about revocable trusts.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm surprised at how, which I guess then is a good thing because we have a lot. And we can absolutely, you can refinance a home, you can purchase your home in a trust, and we see it more and more and more on refinances. Because there's just a few extra paperwork that we need to do to make sure that it's recorded properly.
And I've heard that that's a problem because sometimes people forget, oh, my home's in a trust. Did I tell you that? Closing's tomorrow. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
oh, I've had people have to run down to the county
Yeah.
the day before closing or the day of to get some document because of a trust deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah,
here?"
because
You
we
know,
can't close it
when
if-
they're selling their property. It just happened to me a month ago. And the buyer or the seller, my client, was mad at me. And I'm like, well, I didn't, know that you needed to get this document.
Right.
The title company told them and all that, and they had an attorney and involved and all. But so
And I always tell clients, if you go to sell your house, please remember to tell anyone involved in the sale and that transaction that this is in a trust, because we're doing this for your estate plan, but it can cause problems if you do go to sell it.
So if I have a will,
Mm-hmm.
I still go through probate.
Yes.
And is that the purpose? Did I nail it on the head, or was I way off on that? I was
No.
just curious what probate was for. We hear about it all the time.
Prince's estate is in probate right now.
It
so,
is?
Yeah.
Still.
Okay.
It's still, yeah.
It's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
Yep.
probate, though, the state doesn't get a lot out of it necessarily unless there's no heirs. The attorneys tend to benefit from probate because they have to do takes a lot of time, energy, and effort on attorneys and paperwork, right?
Well, the state gets the $323 filing fee, which covers, of course, the administrative process. That goes into
Yes.
their budget, their fund for administering this.
But the state
no,
does this. Is this the state or is this attorneys that put this into place? Because is it done purely for that reason, to find the true heirs?
well,
rightful
it's
heirs
not
of the-
always finding true heirs. I mean, if you have a will, what the will says is, I nominate so and so to be personal representative of my estate. Used to be known as the executor.
Yep.
But when Minnesota passed its version of the Uniform Probate Code, they changed it to personal representative. So, and then I'm nominating this person. So then that's when you need a judge to step in and say, okay, I've read the will. Looks like this person's going to be nominated. We're going to nominate this person. I'm going to issue what are called letters of general administration or letters testamentary. And that person will have the authority to then conduct sales, to sell property, to buy property, do whatever needs to be done to wrap up the estate. So this is pursuant to statute. So the Minnesota
so this is law.
legislature,
Okay, good.
yeah, the Minnesota legislature is of course the legislature has passed these laws to ensure that people are protected. So either if you have an estate plan that includes a will, or if you don't have an estate plan at all, this is what the legislature has said needs to happen in the probate proceeding. And it's an open proceeding, because in the United States we value open information, freedom of information, and so these are public proceedings. So that's the other thing I tell clients. Well, if you don't want anybody to be able to find out what your estate has, then don't go through probate.
So don't go through probate. And the only ways to do that is to have a will or have your real property in irrevocable trust.
Even a
or-
will go through probate, but have it in a trust.
But a trust.
Yep.
What about, and then it won't go through probate.
Exactly.
And then the TODD
And then the TODD does not go through probate either.
does not go through probate.
Yep.
So my guy that called me is out of state and said, we have 3 months to get this, liquidate this real property before something. He thinks, I don't know if it's probate or before something happens or before it goes somewhere else, right? Is that even...
Before the sister moves in with her boyfriend or something like that, takes over the house or something like that, maybe? Or
Maybe
Maybe it was his brothers involved. I don't know the detail, but and again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm trying to figure this out. But from the listeners, for you guys out there, for you out there thinking about, number one, if you haven't done an estate plan, the word is exactly what it is: planning, plan. It's in advance, so have it done now so that you can plan, so you have a plan for the future. And number two, consider this. I've never heard of a TODD in my life until now, which is, and I'm in real estate, and we sell real estate for probate attorneys and guardians and conservators. I've never heard of a TODD, probably because people don't have them because they're using guardians, conservators, and attorneys in probate, so that they're not in a TODD situation. A TODD would transfer the real estate directly without
Absolutely.
anything.
And that's
Non-probate.
when the person passes away.
Exactly.
It just transfers right upon death.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, and then there are a couple documents that the person who's receiving it have to record with the county recorder's office, but it's so much easier than a probate. They're also relatively new, so that's probably why
Oh, they
maybe
are?
the last
Oh,
few
okay.
years.
Can
Yeah.
you transfer to more than one person? So, like, I have 2 sons. I could do a transfer on death.
You can.
To both
So
of them?
you can. So
Okay.
here is if they're minors, that's going to cause maybe some issues until they become of age. But this is one of my favorite topics in regards to transferring real estate. Because I have so many clients who say, yeah, I want to transfer. I'll just give it to both of my kids or all 4 of my kids, or the family cabin. Well, we'll give it to all 4 of the adult children, who then have 4, spouses. So then basically it's 8 people who are owning a cabin who need to
That
make...
goes great. Everybody gets along, right? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah. And, what...
I love
Yeah.
that look. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. It causes so much conflict because, especially, with the cabin, there's so much maintenance that needs to go into it. And people just think that their kids are going to get along so well and they'll be able to do everything on their own. And ultimately, what happens is,
Well, someone feels like they're taking care of it more.
Exactly.
They're spending more
Exactly.
time there than we are, and you
Yeah.
need to take more maintenance. Or you should pay more of the property
Right.
taxes. Or I
Right.
don't even want to do it. Just give me my cut. Just give me my money out of it,
Yeah.
and then we'll do
Well,
that.
and I think that's why,
I mean,
too,
it's a mess.
it's so important to do it,
suppose,
like
yeah.
you said, ahead of time while, or, maybe some families don't naturally get along, but while everything's getting along and the parents are there, so if there are any questions or anything like that, get it all hashed out.
Yeah.
Because like you said, try to do it while you're grieving is going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So you usually pick your favorite child. You give them the cabin, right? And then
The firstborn.
And then,
Or
What
your
do you-
favorite
what do you
sparkling
end up telling
blonde,
people
Stephanie.
to do in that situation, like when they've got 4 children or me with 2 kids?
Usually then that's when probate maybe isn't a horrible thing, because what you could do is just have them sell it out of the estate. So you could say, listen, nobody's going to live in my house, so I'm going to just leave it, to my estate essentially. And you can sell it out of the estate and just dispose of it that way. If you happen to have 2, let's say you have a cabin and a home, you can leave one to one child and the other to the other child, and then whoever.
these are great conversations to have while you're still alive, probably.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Yeah.
Courtney,
be
if you
kinda
have
hard if you're 6
questions,
feet
you
under.
can contact Excelsior Law Firm and reach Courtney directly. And she has the ESQ after her name, which I always love. But you can contact her at
Esquire.
That costs a lot of money to get that.
I bet. 612-315-3550. 612-315-3550. Very personable, great information, and TODD might be a good way to go. Might be a good option as a TODD. So learn something new every day. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back with more. I'm Jason.
And I'm done.
Little pink houses for you and me.